tonight on the February 19th edition of Evening Magazine. A sight you can't see on your own. A song you won't hear anywhere else. We're off the coast of Maui, within feet of endangered humpback whales.
Single adult male. Obviously been in some heavy combat.
A Northwest man takes us along on his mission to study endangered whales at home in the tropics. Alaskan men. Their rugged looks grace calendars and magazines, and women travel across the country just to meet them.
We're here!
But is this glamorous image really true?
Someone needs to warn these.
Get to know the real Alaska men at home in the tundra.
Yeah, boy.
An old-fashioned style of logging is rediscovered in the Northwest.
There's only a few around.
Find out why the romance of horse logging is making a comeback in this remote Northwest terrain.
And I'm Mimi Dan in Valdez, where there's more snow than any other place in Alaska.
And join me, John Curley, from underneath the waterfalls here in Waimea. Join us from the tropics to the tundra. Evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the beautiful Waimea Valley. I hate gloating, but I read the weather report, and I think they got about another 20 inches of snow in Valdez, Alaska last night, and the temperature hasn't gotten above 0. I am so glad Mimi picked the shorter of the two straws. Mimi, are you there?
Hey, John, I have a souvenir for you from the snowiest city in Alaska, Valdez. Here, catch before it melts in that heat. Oops, sorry, John. Guess you weren't quick enough. Anyway, I'll be back a little later on to show you how the people here put that snow to good use.
I'll get you, Mimi Gan. Every winter, the humpback whales return to Maui. They've been doing this for years now. Only tourists didn't know about it until a guy from the Northwest came up with the idea of whale watching. Tonight, we take you to Maui, and we get as close to the 80,000-pound beast as you can get.
They're up.
Northwest native Greg Kaufman is the father of whale watching. His fascination dates back to when he was 4 and glimpsed gray whales off the Oregon coast.
I remember coming across the hills one day and seeing this huge, I mean, when you're 4, everything's huge, but I thought, well, you know, it's like a continent out there, and my cousin told me, oh, it's a whale. And I was mesmerized by that.
Now he lives and works on Maui, one of the best places in the world to study the endangered humpback whale. He created his job back in 1980.
I guess when I started into it, there was no job on any door or any newspaper saying, wanted guy to study whales, you know. So I had to blaze the trail, and I never anticipated it being a job per se. It was just a love, something I really wanted to do.
Today, Greg's taking our crew out on a 15-foot research boat for a view commercial whale watching outfits seldom see. You need a federal permit to get within 100 yards of a humpback in Hawaii. Greg has one.
It isn't a license to chase the whales. It allows us to get closer for scientific purposes.
Finding humpbacks in Maui during winter is easy, but Greg seeks something more elusive, their song.
Whales is particularly interesting because the whales are singing only in their breeding grounds. And so when they make that choice to sing a new song, it obviously has something to do with reproductive fitness, their ability to attract a mate.
Singers are usually solo male whales. That's what we're looking for. But pods of whales are all we find.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 there, plus the lead tertiary escort 6.
There's no such thing as too many humpbacks, though, since there are only about 4,000 left in the North Pacific. Greg busies himself snapping photos of tail flukes for identification and enjoying the spectacle. It never gets old.
You know, I think it's a mystery. I think it's just this mystery that there's this animal bigger than a city bus that swims around out there. So when you're on a whale watch, you see the tail, or you see the back, or you see the blow, and you hear that blow. You know, you hear that air come rushing out of those blowholes at 300 miles an hour. It's just this mystery. I mean, of having this huge animal out there, this large brain animal that's sharing this planet with us
Still no singing whales. But this pod appears to be human watching.
Right under the boat.
45-foot whales, 15-foot zodiac. But it's not scary. It's enchanting.
Whoa, beautiful. 1, 2. Oh, it could be time to get in.
When the water's smooth, Greg tries to photograph the humpbacks underwater. This pod doesn't like the smaller mammal interrupting. They vanish as soon as he enters the water. But patience is the name of the game in Greg's profession.
Whale waiting, not whale watching. That's what the game's all about.
The team sneaks in bites of lunch between humpback sightings and encounters some rowdiness that actually rocks the dinghy.
There was one animal ramming his head right into the belly of another animal as it flipped over. That was impressive. If you can imagine being that close to 2 semi-trailer trucks hitting on a freeway.
And finally, they find a lone male who's singing the blues.
Single adult male. Obviously been in some heavy combat.
These crews will document whale songs as the winter continues and try to identify why the song changes from season to season.
Anytime you can stop and listen to a singing humpback whale and hear that plaintive cry go through the ocean, it's an amazing day out there.
So Greg Kaufman wraps up another day in paradise. Another day spent with the animals he considers the soul of the sea.
Anytime you can find an endangered species, you know, and spend time with it, it was great.
The Pacific Whale Foundation runs a tour boat, and there's even an internship program. We'll put some more information for you on the hotline. Don't go away. When we come back a little later on, cliff diving Hawaiian style from Waimea Falls. But when we come right back, ladies looking for a husband, how about Alaska?
Welcome back, everyone, to Waimea Valley. During the commercial break, I was able to dry off, and I found another pretty Hawaiian shirt. Isn't that great?
Yeah, great.
That's nice. All right, in about 2 minutes from now, some divers, a little crazy, will be diving off the top of the waterfalls back there, 60 feet up, 60 feet up. They're going to be going right on in, Daryl. So we'll be doing that in just a little bit. You got to be a little nuts, a little courageous, a lot like the guys in Alaska. Huh, Mimi?
John, here in Alaska, the ratio of men to women is 10 to 1. But before all you single girls in Seattle decide to take a plane north, there's something you should know about these eligible bachelors.
They run wild in this frigid frontier. Macho. Mateless. Men.
Odds are good, but the goods are odd.
When these burly bachelors began hunting for honeys in Alaska Men magazine, we're here! Women around the world answered the call of the wild.
We're a different breed. We definitely are.
But are single ladies barking up the wrong tree?
Someone needs to warn these women what they're really going to get into here, you know.
Kelly Haggerty Lammers and Jane Haig are married to Alaskans. Based on their experiences and those of their friends, they've written Catch and Release, an insider's guide to Alaska men.
Somebody had to do it.
This humorous but insightful book is quite a contrast to the magazine.
You know, the airbrushed guys and the dramatic settings and the airplane or the boat, you know, it kind of didn't present them in their real home surroundings, which we thought could have been kind of a shock to women who came up here.
So what's the deal with these Turks of the tundra? Are they or are they not the men of your dreams? Kelly and Jane say that can be determined by answering a few simple questions. First, do you think men look really sexy in insulated overalls, down jackets, hats, gloves, and heavy boots?
So we're in the easy walking model Sorel.
Around here, a pair of shoes can tell you a lot. True Northerners wear Sorel.
Or if they're really trashed and wrapped up with duct tape, then you know that you're dealing with the handyman type.
Oil executives run around in cowboy boots. Mushers mingle in something called bunny boots. And fancy footwear? Well,
No, you would never see those. I mean, in fact, if I saw someone in the middle of the winter with those fine Italian leather shoes, I would definitely walk rapidly in the other direction. And you'd know it was from outside.
moving on to our next question. Are you prepared to live in an out-of-pocket house? In other words, his definition of a nice, cozy cabin in the woods may be different than yours.
People don't all have real houses. What we call a real house is the one with plumbing and actual doors that close, you know, rooms and so forth.
I've got it pretty cush now. I've got a heater that senses temperature inside the house.
Well, you don't get to buy a house unless it's got a shop. We're talking shop.
Obviously, Alaska men like braving the elements.
There's a lot of truth there.
And that brings us to our final question. Can you hold your own in a conversation about outdoor equipment? When these macho men say they like outdoor activities, they're not talking playing fetch with Fido in the park. They're talking racing the dogs in the wilderness when it's 20 degrees below zero.
If you're the kind of woman that, you know, likes winter mountain biking with studded snow tires on your bike, and guys are making fun of you down there, hey, you know, you could be the most popular girl on the block up here.
You see, around here, the last frontier comes first.
They should either be prepared to enjoy the outdoors or to enjoy their time alone.
I like to do a lot of winter trips, so a lot of the women kind of back down off that.
Women in Alaska compete with hunting, fishing, best mountains, best scenery.
Enough said. Because if you haven't answered yes to any of Kelly and Jane's questions, then consider this.
These guys are real. They don't have time to put on a lot of airs.
Kelly and Jane say Alaska men aren't into game playing. They're straightforward and brutally honest. Case in point.
It's not that we don't appreciate women and don't love women. It's the fact that I'm real low on the priority list.
Granted, these guys aren't picture perfect as advertised, but they are genuine and true to Alaska.
You're more likely to find an exceptional one than an average one.
And that makes them great husbands to have and to hold on a cold winter's night.
That's the point. If we didn't like them, we wouldn't still be here. We like them a lot.
Well, John, as you know, I married an Alaskan. And you know that saying, the odds are good, but the goods are odd? Well, I hate to admit, but there is some truth to that saying. Sorry, honey.
Geez, now a quick word to Everett, Mimi's husband. Everett, I'm sure if Mimi wasn't so cold, she wouldn't be saying that. The cold has gotten to her head there. So.
Hey, John, looks like they're getting ready to dive
Oh,
here.
they're gonna dive?
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lawrence Walk. Kanaka and Kekoa are gonna dive for you. Okay, Kanaka is about 60 feet up there, and I'm sure that's where he got his name, because his knees look like they're Kanakan right now. He's going to jump from about 60 feet up at 60 miles an hour down into the water, and the water is about 68 degrees at this point. Shall we see him dive for you now, Kanaka? Here's Kanaka. Wow. Interesting thing about the waters that the divers are going into, over 300 years ago, the commoners were not allowed into the water, except for once in their life, they could go in, swim around a little bit, feel good about themselves, and then get out on the pole. They were supposed to be healed of all of their problems. And then the royalty would go back in after all the commoners had left. So, kind of interesting. And now, back to the divers. Stick around, there's more fun from Waimea Valley. We come back a little later on, I'll take a dive, Daryl. When you think about logging in the Northwest, you probably think about Weyerhaeuser, multi-million-dollar business with its army of men and women and heavy equipment. Did you know there's another way to go logging? David Gillen has this unusual story.
You know, most people, you know, I say I'm a horse logger, and they don't really understand what what's a horse logger. Get up, boys. It's unique. I mean, you don't run across any horse loggers very often. There's only a few around.
Logging with draft horses is a nostalgic form of forestry that's making a comeback. Logger Joe Warnes is hitching onto this trend, despite its difficulties and potential dangers.
I like the low technology aspect of it.
So does the land. One of the reasons horse logging is being rediscovered is that it's easier on the ground than conventional logging. But you wouldn't want to clear a 1,000-acre stand this way. Horses are for smaller places and slower paces. Joe arrives at this site near Centralia early in the morning and builds a temporary corral for his horses, Tom and Jerry.
Bring them their breakfast.
After fueling up his four-legged machinery, Joe grabs a piece of modern machinery and begins the business of logging his way.
Thought I was reaching for a cigarette, didn't you?
These trees are small 50-year-olds, but they can do damage on the way down.
You start to tip over, you've got to watch up there in case stuff falls out like a dead limb or something, falls down. There's something from that high, something the size of a limb can impale you.
Joe falls the trees and bucks them into logs. Then it's time to skid the logs. This is where the horses come in. But first, Joe takes a break and pulls out a big can of, no, not chewing tobacco, sugar for his tea. Told you Joe logs his way.
Got to get into another mindset from the screaming chainsaw and fallen trees to a little slower pace.
After a spot of tea, Joe gets Tom and Jerry ready to work.
Oh, you saw that carrot, didn't you?
These 2,000-pound percherons might as well be named Pride and Joy. Joe almost quit logging because it was taking him away from his family. But he couldn't bring himself to give up Tom and Jerry.
I just couldn't do it, so here I am, back out here. Like I said, I can't get away from it now. This is a collar pad. These are the hames. You gotta be even down here, or they're not gonna put even pressure on his shoulders when he pulls. Tom's ready. This is the rigging. This is called single tree. This is a double tree. I guess we're ready. I don't know if they are. They're dressed anyway. Get up, boys.
The draft horses skid the logs. Joe sets tongs into the bark, then gives the command.
Yep.
And Tom and Jerry drag these 800-pound logs out of the woods and down the road. Joe and his team work fluidly, intuitively.
Sometimes you wonder if they don't pick up on your thoughts somehow or some way, because a lot of times I'll be thinking of something I want to do and they'll do it. Tighten up.
That equine ESP is important because if Tom or Jerry make a wrong move, Joe could be hurt by moving logs, not horses.
You just have to really watch what you're doing, because there are a lot of things that can get you.
Logging with horses can be dangerous, difficult work, just like conventional logging.
For this job, you don't have to belong to any fitness club.
But Joe, Tom, and Jerry don't plan on splitting up the team anytime soon. Joe plans on staying in the logging business as long as he can do it his way.
Yeah, I like it. It's like any other job. It has its bad days, and days that you wonder what ever possessed you to get into something like this. And then you'll get a day where the clouds go away and it's a blue sky and it's just beautiful out here, and then it makes it all worthwhile.
Joe says Tom and Jerry, his horse friends, are like family members. I can relate to that. I've got an aunt on my mother's side who's got kind of a horsey face. Little joke there, Aunt Helen. Don't go away. When we come right back, what do you do with 46 feet of snow in Alaska? Mimi Gann has the answer. I'm really sweating, huh? Welcome back, everyone. We'll be on the seats. Thank you. It's going to get up to about 85 degrees here at Waimea Valley, so it's time to cool off, Daryl.
Okay.
This is how we do it through the magic of television. We go now to Mimi Gann in Valdez, Alaska.
John, Valdez gets more snow than any other city in Alaska. Now imagine this. In one season, they recorded 560 inches of snow in downtown. That's about 46 feet. But the people here sure know how to take advantage of all the snow. Take a look at this. They've turned a snowbank into a billboard, advertising flower delivery. Now in March, when the snow gets a little heavier, they turn a snowdrift into a drive-in. They actually project the movie right onto the snow.
Wow, what are they showing, Mimi? Avalanche?
Well, I'm recommending they see Blue Hawaii. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good one, Meme. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, here's what's coming up tomorrow on the show.
It was the site of one of World War II's most critical battles. Today, there's still a battle for life on Midway, and a Northwest woman is leading it.
You're literally surrounded by the albatross that nest all around you here.
Be one of the first visitors to Midway Island and see its newest residents, endangered seals, sea turtles, and pods of dolphins.
About 250 of them live here.
It's a legendary wartime location, transformed into a peaceful preserve in the tropics. He's one of the greatest adventurers of all time. At age 22, Norman Bond makes history with his expedition to Antarctica.
And we claim that land for the United States of America.
Meet this legendary Alaskan adventurer.
Oh, I was the first one at the top.
And find out why this 91-year-old record breaker is still at home in the tundra.
I don't know what it is, Daryl, but being really cold is no longer cooling us off.
No.
I've got an idea. I will dive from the top rock like Kanaka.
Man, you are crazy.
Good night from Waimea. We'll see you tomorrow.
For more information on anything you saw on tonight's show, call the Evening Magazine hotline at 442-2800, extension 5466. Accommodations in Alaska provided by the Fairbanks Princess Hotel, Interior Alaska's finest. Accommodations in Hawaii provided by the Five Diamond Ritz-Carlton Kapalua Resort, located on Maui's lush northwest shore. For information, call toll-free 1-800-262-8440. Hawaiian Airlines brings you unique award-winning service and warm island hospitality. Choose among 3 daily departures from Seattle. When you fly Hawaiian Airlines, Hawaii's flagship airline, your vacation starts the moment you step on board.